What some historians are beginning to point out is that the roots of the abolitionist movement first began with the Quaker stance against enslavement of African Americans, soon followed by Methodists and Baptists. Benjamin Lay, a third generation renegade Quaker preacher, was the unlikeliest of heroes. Standing barely 4 feet tall, he began denouncing slavery before anyone else in the colony of Pennsylvania. For nearly a quarter century before the opening shots of the American Revolution, Lay argued against the enslavement of African Americans in his adopted home of Pennsylvania. In 1756, he even convinced his friend Benjamin Franklin to free two of his slaves upon his demise. The Quaker opposition to slavery is expressed in these coin-sized medallions, portraying the enslaved and chained and bearing the mottos, "Am I not a man and a brother?" and "Am I not a woman and a sister?" Quakers, also known as the Society of Friends, were an influential but insular Protestant sect accompanying Anglicans and Congregationalists and French Huguenots, among others in Westchester in the early 18th century. Quaker meeting houses, almost identical in structure and type of worship to those in and around Philadelphia, dotted the landscape of colonial Westchester. Along with Chappaqua and Yorktown Heights, meeting houses were built in Purchase, Scarsdale, Croton Valley, and especially in Westchester and the section of the Bronx. The mural, which is proudly displayed outside the courtroom of the Eastchester Town Hall, depicts an unsuccessful attempt of the royal governor William Cosby to rig the election of 1773. Part of Cosby's plan was to deny the Quakers the right to cast their ballots because they would never swear an oath on the Bible. A year later, the Assembly of the Colony of New York passed legislation banning this practice. This moral shows the Quakers' importance in Lower Westchester well before the time of the Revolution. Despite having Quakers in Lower Westchester, New York had the highest number of enslaved people of any northern state. Almost every New York City businessman or merchant or person in Westchester County profited directly or indirectly from slave labor. It was not until July 4th, 1827, that New York State finally emancipated its slaves. This took place over 50 years after the Declaration of Independence. New York was the next to last northern state to abolish slavery. Slavery was simply too deeply embedded into the fabric of New York society for any abolitionist movement to bring meaningful change during the American Revolution.